Welcome to Treasure Valley Podcast. I am Chuck.
And I am Elliot.
Today's episode is brought to you by LowerGentry Studios. Here at LowerGentry Studios, we create thought-provoking content with integrity, and we enjoy every aspect because we are hedonists. You can check out LowerGentry Studios content at www.lowergentrystudios.com. Our content includes feature films, 2 of them, and a web series, an original web series, about Canyon County social workers. So go to lowergentrystudios.com and check it out.
Yes, all 3 productions are very, very, very fantastic. Why is today special?
Today is special because on today's date, August 13th, in 1961, the Berlin Wall started construction.
Dang. And you may remember the Berlin Wall from that really crappy late period Steven Spielberg movie. It was used as a major prop in there.
What was that movie called?
I can't even remember because it was so bad. It had Tom Hanks in it and he had a cold. That was like the whole thing.
He's like, I can't tear this wall down with this cold.
Yeah, and he was trying to get somebody over, and there's lots of really lame jokes in it about him, how he likes to eat breakfast and how he's American, so he likes big breakfasts. And then both the East Germans and the West Germans were just like, oh, you're eating a lot of breakfast there, Tom.
So the theme was about breakfast and
or
the
something.
Berlin
I don't know,
Wall.
he's a lawyer. I can't even remember.
Somehow
it was a really bad movie, though. Anyway.
Oh.
But we shouldn't talk about that. We should be talking about events around the Treasure Valley. Ready?
Let's talk about some events.
What's going on?
What's going on? What's going on in the Treasure Valley?
Well, I hope what we're going to talk about is the new HomeGrown Theatre play.
Yes, we checked out Men on Boats.
Yeah, on opening night. It was on Saturday. Yeah,
yes.
it was on Saturday. Actually, it was opening night. Yeah, because we missed the pay what you want preview because we're not cheapskates. We went there on opening night. We paid one of the tiers of money that they offer for a ticket.
And we got into the show.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was well done.
It was awesome. They have really cool rapid scenes because it was just really cool. It's about these men and they're on boats.
They're on boats.
And it's about an expedition through the Grand Canyon. There's a leader and he is missing an arm. And then there's a second in command. There's some tension there. And then there's just kind of a rogues gallery of different people. Rogues gallery. I always use that with like villains in Batman comics.
Oh.
But I don't think that that's the way it applies. Anyway, there's a bunch of different personalities. There's like a lot of characters.
Some are rogue. There's a gallery of personalities. Some of those personalities are rogue.
But anyway, there's a bunch of different characters, and they're all pretty funny, kind of quirky. It's a quirky, fun play that's also very self-knowledgeable. It's kind of ironic, I would say, and I really, really enjoyed myself.
But you don't have to be an Iron to enjoy it. Anybody can.
No, you can be just a regular empath.
Correct.
Is that the opposite of an Iron?
Probably.
Or no, I don't know what it would be. Or what's the opposite of ironic? Sincere? Sincerity?
If you could go to lowergentrystudios.com, Treasure Valley Podcast tab, and then make a comment on this, let us know what the opposite of an Iron is.
Yeah, please.
Or if you see this on YouTube, you can make a comment on YouTube, and we would be happy to include the antonym of Iron in our next podcast.
Yeah, I'm going to say empath, but empath is actually a real thing because that's what people actually claim to be. Like, I'm an empath. I like understand people's emotions so much that I just become like their emotions.
Actually, there's a case study of certain people get disgusted when they're around other people eating because they can feel the people swallowing the food as they're watching them. And they put them into MRI scanners and shown videos of other people experiencing things, and their neurons will light up as though they are experiencing that sense of touch. So that is a thing, but probably if people say that that's what they are, they're probably just being a dork.
Yeah, probably.
Until you get that person to do an MRI, I wouldn't believe it because like these. Well, people
next time somebody claims to be an empath around me and is trying to brag about it, I'm just going to immediately start eating a sandwich and see if they get disgusted.
Yeah,
and then if they do get disgusted, I'll be like, okay, you're legit. You're a good person that's not lying to me. And if they don't, I'm going to be like, liar. You should be disgusted right now by me swallowing and chewing this food.
Or you could just look at them and say, then you probably know I'm annoyed.
Oh, that would be probably better. Maybe the sandwich thing would work too. Anyway, though, Men on Boats plays tomorrow, Wednesday.
Oh, that's right. That's what we were talking about.
Yeah, we went on a tangent there. But anyway, Men on Boats tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And it's a great play in the Black Box Theater and the Gem Center for the Arts. I really personally enjoyed it. I enjoy all of their plays. Mm-hmm. They're always really well done. They're well lit. They're well acted. They're really, really well choreographed usually in terms of like the way that they convey action and the way they like symbolically created on stage. Like I was like there when at one point like a character goes underneath the water and then they use like cool sound effects and stuff.
Yeah,
and then she like surfaces and then they change the sound effects in the theater. They're just really a creative group of people, and I'm really proud to call them acquaintances.
Abnormally, they are abnormally engrossing.
Friends, but I'm like whatever. We got like drinks with them once, so whatever.
Acquaintances is a much longer word too.
Yeah, exactly.
And I know how you like to impress people with that.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, they're cool people. Cool play. Go support them. All right. Are we ready to do some good news, bad news?
Let's do some good news, bad news.
Give me news. No, we do not want bad news. Just good news. There's good news, bad news, yeah.
All right. What's the good news and the bad news today, Chuck?
We have some good news and some bad news, if you haven't heard that enough times in the last 10 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Good news is Bernie Sanders,
Yeah.
presidential candidate, Democratic Party for 2020,
Okay.
is now polling in first place in New Hampshire above Joe Credit Card Biden. What's his nickname?
Senator Plastic.
Senator Plastic. He's polling ahead of Joe Senator Plastic Biden.
Cool.
In New Hampshire. But bad news is Bernie Sanders is not an advocate of universal basic income, otherwise known as UBI,
Ooh.
which some people view as an infection because it's such a socialist policy.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, this is interesting. The presidential election so far is very interesting. It's like the polar opposite of the last one. Because remember the last one, the only people at this point was just Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders.
Oh, yeah.
Like they're all surprised that Bernie Sanders was running. It's
Yeah.
like, no, this is like Hillary Clinton's turn. What's
All
going
the
on?
other candidates committed suicide. Or she was warning them that they might commit political suicide by running against her.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
think.
But no, and then it's so now they have like 1,800 candidates up there or whatever, and then they have to do it across like
I think
8
it's only like
days of-
1,700 and some.
Yeah, but
I
they do
guess
it
if you
across
round
like
up-
50 days of debates or whatever, and then they only have time for like they only have like 30 seconds to talk. But anyway, like I think who you're referencing though is a guy who's been popularizing UBI is Andrew Yang.
Andrew
right?
Yang is my man.
And this is very interesting because usually Chuck and I disagree on every single political thing ever
True.
because he's a libertarian and I tend to go socialist.
Yes.
In a lot of my stuff. So I like Bernie Sanders, all right. But I started to like Andrew Yang more because he seems more of a pragmatist. But he's like still like idealist in like weird ways. But his ideology like seems to me, wow, I really am gonna have trouble finishing the sentence because I started out without knowing how to finish it.
That's okay. As long as you enjoy listening to yourself talk, you're going to be okay.
I'm sure one other
And
person
hopefully
does
you
too.
all out there enjoy it as well.
No, I was just basically going to say that his ideology, right, seems more like it can actually be executed sometimes, especially within the realm of like the federal government, which you always think of as especially in the United States, as very ineffective and very inefficient.
Yes. And I appreciate him a great deal. I looked into it at first, knee-jerk reaction, because I lean libertarian because I feel that people need to be free from tyranny in general, and I think of government as tyrannical in most instances because bureaucracy to me is tyrannical.
Yeah,
so it's
for sure.
awful. However, I hate bureaucracy. I hate the DMV. It drives me crazy. That's where it
These
all
are the
started.
ramblings from a white guy from Idaho.
Yeah,
Everything was perfect until I
get
went
my
down to
truck
dip.
licensed, and then I'm waiting in line, and nobody's serving me.
This is the worst thing the government can do.
Make my wait here. But anyway, universal basic income, a lot of times people get super upset about socialist policies. And I think that the root of that is they feel that their tax dollars are going to somebody else.
Yeah.
And the government, if they are in the business of redistributing wealth, it needs to be the most equitable possible manner to do that, is how I feel.
Yeah.
If
No, I
that's
agree.
gonna happen and if that's necessary.
Yeah, we should explain exactly what UBI. So universal basic income,
Good
at least
point.
under Andrew Yang's plan, and then a few other places have experimented with this.
Yeah.
Is basically you get a set amount of money on whatever time period it is. Some places do it like every year. All the citizens get like so much money back, and then his plan would be once a month everyone would get $1,000.
Correct.
That they could use in whatever way they want to. Would just basically be their money. And I think the paradigm shift in terms of the thinking is at least the way he talks about it, and I really enjoy the way he talks about it, is that we're all, by being citizens and paying taxes, we're kind of like almost shareholders in a corporation.
Yeah.
So we would deserve like a dividend each month just by being a part of the society, which I kind of enjoy, just that general change in thinking.
Yeah, there's no to me, there's no incentive right now for the average citizen to participate in government. It's the voters are the outliers for the most part, I would just about bet. And there's probably a connection.
I mean, they're the minority, but they're not like outliers.
Well, here's one thing, and I don't know, it's just correlation. They always talk about the older you are, the more likely you are to turn out to vote.
Yeah.
What do older people receive?
They receive a lot of social services usually.
Social Security
Social
is
Security,
one that we're all
disability or whatever, because
But we're all guaranteed Social Security.
Yeah.
And so I think that if citizenry were to receive a certain amount of funds, I would prefer to see it equitably distributed based on the efficiency of government and have it be variable rather than a fixed amount, because that would incentivize people to hold the politicians accountable and the government accountable to...
Whoa. So back up there. So a tweak that you would say to UBI or Andrew Yang's policy would be, instead of $1,000 a month, it would sometimes adjust depending upon the inefficiency of the government for that month, or
yes,
or maybe
or the
that
inefficiency
year, or that year, or whatever it is. Like, so this year we're not going to give you $1,000, we're going to give you $700.
Yeah.
And then everybody would be really angry.
They would be super annoyed, and then they'd probably go start to question what's going on in their local government and the state government and the government as a whole in the United States. I would hope. I mean, it's just a theory, but if we're going to do that,
I think that you're onto something there. I think that would spur action, especially if you're used to so much money each month, and then all of a sudden it just gets cut.
Yeah, and I think it's a good compromise, because ultimately, the people that are making a ton of money in that 1% echelon where they're not paying taxes, it drives me up a wall.
Yeah.
Basically, if I had $5 million, I wouldn't have to work for the rest of my life. I wouldn't have to do anything.
No.
So if you inherit $5 million, or I think there's a president who said he got a small $1 million loan to start his enterprises. But if you think about that, that's at 5%. Stock markets historically in real estate 10 to 15% interest every year.
Yeah.
So there's, $100,000, $150,000 a year just in passive income that gets taxed at 10%.
Yeah.
It's annoying.
It is annoying.
And so obviously we have to redistribute some of that, because active income should be taxed lower than passive income.
No, yeah, I definitely agree with that.
And if you allow too much passive income to exist, it's just going to be a bunch of lazy people.
Yeah.
There's fewer lazy people, just a small handful of lazy people, but they're probably active behind the scenes
or something, or what.
You
But
would
either
think.
way, though, I think for the first time we're actually agreeing on like the role of government, which I think the main role of government is to address inequality and make sure inequality doesn't run away. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
if you have a hierarchy, right, and then you have the bottom like tier of the hierarchy, if there's too many people at the bottom tier and they can't go up any ladder rungs, right?
No, they could be out in the field all day. It doesn't matter. They're not going to make enough money.
Yeah, but that's when the whole society starts to destabilize, and that's when you get like crazy things like revolutions, and then the revolutions turn into dictatorships or oligarchies or whatever.
Yeah.
And then everything just destabilizes.
Mm-hmm.
So the role of government is to adequately make sure that there's not too much inequality, and make sure that, and then inequality is like my idea is that inequality is just a consequence of unchecked market forces. You know what I'm saying? Because if market forces are completely unchecked without like the role of government, then inequality runs rampant. But
you have to me, government is some type of moral police, and so I think you have to police. You have to decide which morals you want to police, and if somebody's abusing people and using their money to, I think that on the other hand though, that debt cycles through the ebbs and flows of the rise and fall of societies, and that's in a book I'm reading right now. It's called Killing the Host.
By whom?
Michael Hudson.
Okay.
And so historically, all the way back to the Babylonians, as debt increased, the society needed to either decide to allow that debt to be absolved and start over, or it just fell apart. Happened with the Romans, and we're at that point right now in the United States, is what this economist is saying.
So basically we need to absolve debt.
We need to get rid of debt. And
Okay.
so my point with the government is, if there weren't the people that are in control put in the consequences of you can't escape debt.
Yeah.
Right now we have house debt. You can escape house debt if you give up your house, which is why the housing bubble happened.
Yeah.
Was they were loaning and they figured they have collateral, but then they didn't realize that they were going to increase the demand, which is going to increase the
But
price artificially.
the place like the EO, though, you can't get out of it even if you give up your house. Which is crazy.
Certain places, Ireland, that's why everybody.
Well, no, Spain too, because I remember that was a big deal in Spain. Yeah.
They weren't allowed to get out of the debt, so they were paying on houses that they owed twice as much as what it was worth.
And then they didn't even have the house, so they were homeless, still having to pay on it.
Yeah, and so they had to flee the country, a lot of them, to get out of it. So we're kind of at that precipice. Student loans you can't escape from.
No, never.
Impossible.
Yeah.
And so
unless you pay them off, or you just go through the debt forgiveness programs, that's the only way that you can get it. Like, there's the debt forgiveness programs.
But those are pretty. You can have your wages garnished if you don't pay back your student loans.
Yeah.
And they will the debtor.
No, they'll take it out of your checking account too. When I worked at Wells Fargo, that used to pop up every once in a while.
Wells Fargo, such a good company.
Yeah, I worked at Wells Fargo, and I used to see it every once in a while. All of a sudden, there would just be like from the state of whatever state they were, and then it would just be minus however many dollars. And then people would call up and be like, "Why am I negative $5,000 in my Wells Fargo account?" And then they'd be like, "It looks like the state put a lien against your checking account, and then just took out." He's like, "There was only like $200 in there," and I'm like, "You're gonna have to talk to the state."
You better pay us back because now we extended you credit.
Yeah, exactly. And then they like had pot like 8 things that day for like $3 or something, and then they each have like $35 fees on. They're like, "Can you get rid of the $35 fee?" It's like, well, maybe if the state puts that money back in your account, maybe we'll get rid of it.
So I think our morality and the government police's morality, I think our morality is too much into everybody needs to pay back the debt that they've taken on.
Well, that makes sense though, because
the court system shouldn't be involved in that. Is what my point is. Like if I welch on a debt, that's bad on me and bad on the person that trusted me in the first place. We have credit agencies. People can build up their credit score. We don't need to have the government coming in there and policing it. And you better believe that we wouldn't have as much debt if people were allowed to welch on their debts.
Well, I think you're talking about like a very big paradigm shift though, because every time that there's any type of financial crunch, they always talk about ease of credit, right?
Yeah.
So what you're talking about though would basically credit would start to shrink. But then also what you probably are going to say next, and I'm just going to guess and not let you say it, is that savings would increase though.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So then you would just know like, oh, I just need to save up this much amount of money.
Well, think about interest.
Nobody's going to give me a loan on it.
Yeah. Interest is just a tax.
Yeah.
Interest is just another tax that you pay. So if you have a lot of debt right now, be very careful because you're already paying taxes. And then if you have a mortgage, which are low right now, like 3-4%, you're paying that amount out of your monthly payment. Plus you're paying the bank. Mm-hmm. Plus if you have credit card debt, those are usually around 10, 15, sometimes 20% student loan debt. Mm-hmm. So if you add up all the interest that you're paying, that's just going to people that have money.
Yeah.
They're not doing anything.
Yeah.
They have the money. They're buying these different bonds, they're selling them again for a profit.
Yeah.
Or holding on to them, and they know that they got you by the short hairs.
Yeah.
So whatever part of your body has the shortest hairs, and it's very uncomfortable if you have short hairs.
Yeah.
Being had on your body.
I got a lot of short hairs on my back. I'm just kidding. They're really long hairs. I got a lot of really long hairs on my back.
If you're listening to this, we'll put a picture up on YouTube. And
we won't.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Anyway, my wife would be too jealous. Why are you showing that sexy back to everybody? That back's
I thought
mine.
that was mine.
Yeah. So what you're saying is basically, so the government is guaranteeing all these loans to the court system, right? And then it's perpetuating this idea that you need to constantly have credit and you need to constantly be. You as an individual citizen of America needs to go into debt, or I guess citizen of the West, because the EU works the same way. Well, it's like the first thing that they told me when I turned 18 is like, you got to get a credit card. That's a weird thing to say to somebody, right? Mm-hmm. Like you have to get a credit card. Why do you need to get a credit card? Because then you're going to borrow a little bit, and then you're going to pay with this credit card, and then you're going to pay it back at the end of the month. But don't let it like go into arrears, because then they're going to charge you interest. And I'm like, but I have cash for it. Why? I remember that was a big weird thing in my mind where I'm like, I have cash for it. Why don't I just pay it with the cash? No. Hold on to your cash until the end of the month, then give it to the credit card company.
And then leverage it into low interest rates later on.
Yeah, exactly. But that's such a weird paradigm shift. What somebody should have, I guess if society works correctly, they should have told me like, be really careful with the money that you spend and then hold on to it and then save. Because like actual cash, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but right now it doesn't matter. Because it's a quote unquote sure bet.
Yeah.
But society can only handle so much debt, and once it gets too debt ridden, the economy of a country can't produce enough to pay back the 1% that's holding all of those vouchers for payments.
Yeah.
because all it is just a slow funnel.
Yeah.
You can't double money. It's impossible. That's how our financial system is set up, is that we are supposed to be able to double our money over X amount of years. That is not actually possible. All it does is over time, it just falls apart.
Yeah.
I mean, historically.
Yeah.
So.
Dang.
Yeah. So
the good news is Bernie Sanders, if you're
listening to this,
yeah, if you're like about shaking up the DNC, Bernie Sanders is ahead in the polls. The bad news is all of society is crumbling, according to Charles in this book that he's reading.
So get ready for it.
So I think that pretty much covers it.
Yeah, that is very bad news.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening today. This has been Treasure Valley Podcast, presented by LowerGentry Studios. You can go to www.lowergentrystudios.com to catch new episodes of this podcast, past episodes of this podcast, as well as feature films, including We Speak, which was recently released. There's a link on that to be able to rent it on Amazon Prime, or just stream it if you're a member. Thanks for joining us.